Okay, I may or may not have just played Mario Kart World and finished all the Grand Prix Cups on 150cc one time, but I wanted to give my thoughts and impressions. First of all, the Switch 2, like itself, like as a hardware, as a console, I thought the Joy-Cons felt really, really good. The buttons are great. The attaching and detaching is so easy. It's a little heavy in handheld. I played last night in handheld, but that's okay because when you kick out the stand is first of all not just like the shitty little, it's like the whole back. There's like a flap, and it actually feels very good. Um, so that was great. Also, by the way, just a heads up, when I was setting up my Switch 2, I had to use the new power adapter that came with the Switch 2. For some reason, even though the Switch 1 and Switch 2 are both USB-C, my old Switch 1's adapter, like even though it plugs in fine to the dock, it wasn't connected to the TV. I think it was charging the Switch 2, but I couldn't connect it to the TV until I switched to the new power adapter. Also, another heads up is the micro SD from my Switch 1 didn't work in the Switch 2. The Switch 2 required Express micro SD or whatever. But it's not a problem because there's plenty of space. I like transferred my like account and most of my games are digital. And after downloading them, there's still 93 gigabytes available on my Switch 2. So who cares? Okay, onto the actual game now. First of all, I want to say that it feels kind of easy. I played through all the cups once, and I think I got first on all of them. I even got 3 stars, which means you got first on all 4 races on a couple of them. So I don't know, but whatever. Want to talk about a couple things first about quality of life. First is when you pick up an item and now automatically activates it, which means that if it's a triple like banana or shell, it'll just start rotating around you without you having to do anything. Or if it's like a single shell or banana, it'll just drag behind you. You don't have to click a button. And you also don't have to click and hold to hold it behind you as you drive. It'll just like hold it behind you, which is really nice. So I like that. But what I don't like is that in the menu to select a car, it has now hidden the auto accelerate and the smart steering behind this ugly menu. It used to be like when you pulled up like the stats, there were like a couple options to do tilt controls, smart steering and auto accelerate, all 3 of those from like the same screen. And now you have to like pull up a separate settings menu. So as one player is fine, but as like multiplayer, I'm not sure how you adjust everyone's, like does each person's thing, does it open the whole menu or does it open on their little I don't know, but like that seems like a bad change. um some smaller details that I really love. They have this new sound when shells travel, like when you throw them, there's like this like sound as they move. I really love it. Also, it's obviously like fantastic and hilarious to be able to play as the cow, as a Cheep Cheep, as like a snowman, whatever, as like a Goomba. Like, I think that is hilarious. It is super fun. I will note that they are much, much, much less expressive than the human characters. So like when you trick or when you do whatever, when you win a race, the baddies seem to mostly just like turn, look at the camera, turn, look at the camera, do like a flip or something. But the humans are like really, really, really expressive, and so those are really well done, clearly. Okay, now for some of the things that are like kind of like neutral, the feel of the game. Obviously, I have played a ton of Mario Kart like throughout my life, like Mario Kart Wii, like the Switch 1 Mario Kart. This one, they've definitely changed the physics. It feels more challenging to control your car. It's almost like more quote unquote realistic, where like it feels like you're struggling against whatever is happening to turn the wheel and control your car. And the water physics is also really interesting. There's now sections where you drive on water, and so there's like waves and stuff. You can trick off those and whatever. And also you can trick like unlimited times as long as you're in the air. I actually don't know if that's new, and I don't believe it does anything, but if you're in the air for a long time, you can just keep tricking and tricking and tricking. Um, Drifts initiate slower and at more of an angle, so it's definitely hard to control like small adjustments by drifting. It's not gonna happen, or at least I haven't figured it out yet. And drifting all the way out, like going very gently, is also harder. So if it's like a very gentle turn, I fell in a lot because I was drifting and I couldn't like go out. I also haven't mastered like the new rail driving and the wall jumping and whatever. There were a couple of courses where it was useful, but like usually the rail is on the outside, so you have to take the far outside like turn, and so that's just not a good racing line. And then the charge jumping is okay. Charge jumping is basically you're driving straight and you press and hold the drift button, and you'll eventually charge like a little jump, and you'll jump and then have a small boost. I actually did use that a couple of times because there's kind of a lot of stretches with nothing to do. So I did end up using that a couple of times, but it doesn't feel super impactful. They also adjusted drafting a little bit. Drafting used to be you had to be directly behind someone for a little bit and then you would get a speed boost. Now I think you're allowed to be like diagonally behind them or even to the side a little bit and you'll still get it. But anyways, those are all just like some small changes with the physics and the feel. Now for like the things that have changed with Mario Kart World, how it's a world now. Basically, to clarify what it is at least for Grand Prix, because again, I've touched the free roam for like all of 5 minutes. It's fine, but like the Grand Prix, it used to be 4 races where you do 3 laps each. There were a couple of exceptions, like Baby Park was more laps, or there was a couple of courses that are just like 3 sections instead of 3 like because like laps of the same thing, or like some of the maps would change each lap, but whatever. For Mario Kart World, what it is now, it is still 4 races. And by the way, when you finish a race, it still ends. So it's not like 4 consecutive races. That's like the knockout tour or whatever. Grand Prix is still 4 separate races, but instead of beginning each race on a new course, you start the course on the previous one and you drive to the next course. And that's typically the first lap or the first section. There's actually very, very, very few laps now. A lot of the races are like sections and it'll be not 3 a lot. It'll be out of 5 or 7 or 4 or whatever. And I found that really confusing because sometimes it's not clear how many laps or sections that there are or how many you've passed, like how close you are to the end. It's not always immediately obvious. And the mini map is also a lot less useful, obviously, because instead of like, you know, like 3 circles, 3 laps, it's now like sometimes like a really long piece and it's kind of like, where am I on this map? It's like not as useful. I actually kind of miss the classic like 3-lap races. I think that most of them are not like that. I think only the first like course on each cup was like a normal 3-lap race, and then all the other ones were like you would drive to the next one and then do something else. I think overall I don't love that because when it was like 4 very distinct courses, it was like, okay, I'm here, I know where I am, there's like a certain visual theme and a musical theme to every single like location and race, and that was very clear and they had an identity. Well, the good ones had an identity, so the good courses were very memorable. The problem with this now is that you're driving from one place to another. So there is a transition and it is sometimes smooth, but it's also supposed to be obvious by the time you get there. It's just that like it's visually overwhelming. You're looking at what items you have, what's happening in the course, where to go. And obviously I'm biased because I'm playing for the first time, so I don't know like where to turn or where to go. But I did find myself like lost sometimes. Like it's unclear where I'm supposed to go. Like a lot of times there's arrows, but a lot of times it's like, it's a big open and I'm like, I don't know where to drive. And I'm trying to pay attention to like the driving, and so it's not always like I'm able to like check out visually like the scenery around me. So I'm sure it's lovely, but it's definitely like, it's like when I finish a race, it's always like, wait, where was I? What was the locale? Like what was that race that I just did? It wasn't immediately obvious. So I don't love that they kind of have blurred it all together. Also the driving in between the sections, it's kind of, it's fine. Like it's fine. I personally might prefer just like a normal 3-lap race, but whatever. Also some small things, coins still feel really useless. You can get up to 20 now and you start every race at 0. Actually I forget if you started at 0 every race, but whatever, like you have to collect 20 coins, and in the previous games they increase your top speed. It doesn't feel like they do anything here. It's just like kind of a thing you do in the beginning of the race, and then usually you hit 20 and then you don't bother unless you get hit or fall off, and then you collect a couple more. Whatever. Also a small like thing is bananas now feel even weaker because if it's a 3-lap race and you drop a banana, someone might run into it on a future lap. But if it's just like 6 sections and you drop a banana and then everyone passes it, the banana is now useless. So now I never drop them. Sometimes I actually throw them forward because it's kind of hard to like get someone. If you're in second, there's someone ahead of you. You kind of just have to try to nail them with a banana, I guess. So that's new, I suppose. But yeah, I think that like it's still really, really fun and I will play more, but these are just some of my like initial thoughts.